Everything looks good, Dr. Rodriguez. You're all set. Welcome home.
Ma'am, Homeland Security, I need to ask you some questions about your citizenship status.
I'm sorry, what? I just cleared customs. Is there a problem?
I'm a U.S. citizen.
I already verified her documentation. She's cleared to go.
I need to see additional proof of citizenship. Driver's license and passport aren't sufficient.
The woman doesn't see them coming. She can't. She's been blind since birth, navigating the world through sound, touch, and the 70-pound golden retriever in a service vest pressed against her left leg. His name is Atlas. He's been her eyes for 6 years, guiding her through crowded sidewalks, busy intersections, airport terminals. Right now, they're standing at the customs declaration area of Oakland International Airport, returning from a conference in Seattle where she'd presented research on accessible technology. Her white cane is folded in her carry-on. Her hand rests on Atlas's harness handle. She's listening to the customs officer's questions, answering each one clearly. Yes, she's a U.S. citizen. No, she's not bringing anything to declare. Yes, she can provide identification. She reaches into her bag, pulls out her California driver's license, the one that says vision impaired, where most show a photo, and hands it toward where the officer's voice is coming from. She doesn't see the 2 ICE agents watching her from 30 feet away. Doesn't know they've decided her Spanish-sounding last name and brown skin mean she's worth questioning. Doesn't realize that in about 45 seconds, everything is about to go catastrophically wrong. What happens in the next 11 minutes will be captured on airport security cameras from 8 angles. Will be witnessed by 2 Black Panther community organizers returning from the same conference. Will result in a service dog being kicked by a federal agent, a blind woman being traumatized, criminal charges filed, and a jury verdict that becomes the largest disability rights award in airport enforcement history. If you believe service animals deserve protection and blind citizens deserve dignity, hit subscribe. Because what ICE agent Marcus Webb did to Atlas while his handler couldn't see it coming will show you exactly why some violations are measured not just in dollars, but in trust destroyed between a person and the animal that keeps them safe. The woman's name was Dr. Elena Rodriguez, 43 years old, associate professor of computer science at UC Berkeley, specializing in assistive technology for people with disabilities. She'd been blind from birth due to congenital optic nerve damage. She'd learned Braille at 3, graduated high school at 16 with straight A's, earned her PhD at 26. She'd built a career on developing technology that helped blind people navigate digital spaces. She gave talks at conferences worldwide. She was, by any measure, successful, independent, accomplished. And none of it would have been possible without Atlas. Atlas was a 2-year-old golden retriever when Elena got him from guide dogs for the blind 6 years ago. They'd trained together for a month, learning each other's rhythms, building trust, becoming a team. Atlas learned to stop at curbs, navigate crowds, avoid obstacles, find doors, locate stairs, keep Elena safe in environments her eyes couldn't process. Elena learned to trust him completely. When Atlas stopped, she stopped. When Atlas turned, she followed. When Atlas pressed against her leg in a particular way, she knew danger was ahead. That trust was absolute. It had to be. Elena's life depended on it every single day. They'd flown together dozens of times. Atlas knew airport routines, the security lines, the waiting at gates, the walking through terminals. He wore his service vest proudly, the patches clearly visible. Service dog, do not pet, and guide dog in training from his early days, now replaced with certified guide dog working. Federal law protected him. The Air Carrier Access Act, the Americans with Disabilities Act, multiple regulations ensuring service dogs could travel with their handlers without interference. ICE agent Marcus Webb and his partner agent Jennifer Santos were conducting what they called enhanced border screening at Oakland International. They'd position themselves near customs, watching passengers arrive from domestic flights, looking for people who seemed foreign, despite traveling within the United States. It was profiling, pure and simple, but they called it observation-based screening. When Elena came through customs, Webb noticed her immediately. Dark hair, brown skin, Spanish surname on her passport. Never mind that she was returning from Seattle, a domestic flight where no customs should have been required at all. Never mind that she had a service dog, which should have signaled an American with a documented disability. Webb saw someone who looked immigrant and decided she was worth stopping. Santos, who had more experience and better judgment, tried to pull him back. Marcus, she's blind. She has a service dog. She just cleared customs. Leave it alone. But Webb was already moving forward, credentials out, his authority activated. Elena was reaching down to give Atlas a treat, reward for good behavior through the customs process, when she heard a new voice beside her. "Ma'am, Homeland Security. I need to ask you some questions." Elena turned her head toward the voice, the way blind people do, orienting by sound even though she couldn't make eye contact. "Of course. How can I help you? Your citizenship status. What country are you from?" "I'm American. Born in San Diego. I'm a professor at UC Berkeley. I just got back from Seattle." Webb wasn't listening. He was reading from a mental script, the one he used on everyone who looked like her. "Do you have documentation proving citizenship? Beyond my California driver's license and U.S. passport, which I just showed customs." Elena's voice carried a hint of confusion. "Is there a problem?" Atlas sensed the tension. Dogs are incredibly attuned to their handlers' stress levels. He pressed closer to Elena's leg, the signal he used when something was wrong, when she needed to be alert. Elena's hand tightened on his harness. The customs officer who just cleared her, a young Asian American woman named Lisa Chun, was watching this unfold with growing alarm. "Sir, I already verified her documentation. She's cleared to go." Webb ignored her. "Ma'am, I need you to come with me for additional screening." Elena felt her heart rate spike. Atlas pressed harder against her leg. She could hear the change in tone, feel the threat in the air even though she couldn't see faces or body language. "I don't understand. I've already been through customs. I have a flight to catch to get home. This is a domestic flight. Am I being detained?" That's when Atlas did what guide dogs are trained to do. He positioned himself between Elena and the perceived threat. Not aggressively, not barking or showing teeth. Just moved his body slightly forward, creating space between his handler and the approaching agent. It's called blocking, and it's a standard guide dog behavior to protect their person. Webb saw it differently. He saw a dog advancing on him. "Ma'am, control your animal. Atlas isn't doing anything wrong. He's working. He's protecting me. That's his job." Webb reached for Elena's arm. "You're coming with us." When he grabbed her, Atlas reacted immediately. Not biting, not attacking, just barking once sharply and pushing against Webb's hand with his head, trying to break the contact between the agent and his handler. That's what guide dogs do. They protect. Webb's response was instant and devastating. He kicked Atlas, hard, in the ribs, with his boot. The sound, the yelp, cut through the terminal. Atlas stumbled sideways, his service vest twisting, his legs buckling. Elena felt the harness jerk in her hand, heard her dog's cry of pain, and dropped to her knees immediately. "Atlas, what happened? What did you do?" She was running her hands over Atlas's body, trying to assess injury by touch. Her training in Braille suddenly applied to her dog's ribs, feeling for breaks or blood or damage. Atlas was whimpering, trying to lick her face, trying to tell her he was okay even though he'd just been kicked hard enough that every witness winced. 30 feet away, Marcus Richardson and Keisha Williams, two members of the new Black Panther Party returning from a conference on community defense, saw everything. They'd been walking toward baggage claim when they heard the dog yelp. Turned and saw a federal agent standing over a blind woman kneeling on the floor with an injured service dog. Saw the agent reaching for the woman again. Marcus pulled out his phone, started recording, and moved quickly toward the scene. Keisha was already on her phone, calling their legal hotline. Hey! Marcus's voice carried across the terminal. "Get away from her. You just kicked a service dog." Webb spun toward Marcus, his hand moving to his weapon. "Sir, back off. This is a federal investigation." "Investigation of what? A blind woman traveling with a service dog? That's protected by federal law. You just assaulted a service animal." Elena was crying now, still kneeling on the floor. Atlas pressed against her, both of them shaking. "My dog. Is he bleeding? Is he okay? Can someone help me? I can't see. Keisha knelt beside them, keeping her hands visible, her voice calm. Ma'am, my name is Keisha Williams. I'm with Community Advocacy. Your dog is not bleeding, but he's favoring his right side. That agent kicked him. I recorded it. We're calling a lawyer right now. You don't have to go anywhere with them. More passengers were stopping now. A dozen people had their phones out, recording from different angles. A TSA supervisor was hurrying over, radio in hand. Santos was trying to grab Webb's arm, hissing at him to abort, that this was a disaster. But Webb had committed. He reached down and grabbed Elena's arm again, trying to pull her to her feet. Ma'am, you need to come with us now. Marcus stepped between them, his body blocking Webb's access to Elena. You're not taking her anywhere. She's a blind woman with a service dog you just assaulted. Every person in this terminal just saw you kick a guide dog. You think that's gonna play well on camera? Webb's face was red now, his authority challenged in front of 50 witnesses. You're interfering with a federal agent. Move or you'll be arrested. Then arrest me. Marcus planted his feet. Because I'm not letting you put your hands on a blind woman whose service dog you just kicked. The TSA supervisor arrived, taking in the scene. A blind woman on the floor with her injured dog, 2 federal agents, a man in Panther gear filming, 50 passengers watching. What's going on here? Agent Webb is detaining a U.S. citizen who just cleared customs, Keisha said, still recording. He kicked her service dog when it tried to protect her. We have multiple videos. That's a federal crime under the ADA. I didn't kick, Webb started. Yes, you did, said a passenger's voice from the crowd. I saw it. You kicked that dog hard. Me too, said another. I got it on video. The TSA supervisor pulled out her radio. I need airport police to the customs area immediately. And animal control. We have an injured service dog. Elena was trying to stand now, still holding Atlas's harness, her other hand running over his body, checking for damage she couldn't see. Please, I just want to take my dog to a vet. I don't know what's happening. Why did he kick Atlas? What did we do wrong? You didn't do anything wrong, Marcus said gently. These agents racially profiled you. They had no reason to question you. You're the victim here. Airport police arrived, 4 officers, led by Sergeant David Kim. He assessed the situation quickly. The blind woman on the floor, the injured service dog, the federal agents, the crowd of witnesses with phones, the Panthers filming. This was already a PR nightmare. Ma'am, are you hurt? Elena turned her head toward his voice. I can't see. I don't know. My dog was kicked. I need to take him to a vet. We need to check if his ribs are broken. He's my guide dog. Without him, I can't get home. Sergeant Kim knelt beside Atlas, his experience with police canines giving him some assessment ability. He gently palpated Atlas's ribs. The dog whimpered but didn't pull away. I don't feel any breaks, but he needs x-rays. We have a vet on contract with the airport for police dogs. I'll get him here immediately. He stood and faced Webb. Agent Webb, did you make physical contact with this service dog? I was securing a suspect. That's not what I asked. Did you kick this dog? The dog was advancing on me. That's a yes. He turned to his officers. Document everything. Get witness statements. Collect video from everyone recording. This is now an animal cruelty investigation. Federal agent or not, kicking a service dog is a crime in California. Webb's face went pale. Santos looked like she wanted to disappear. Marcus and Keisha kept filming. The vet arrived 18 minutes later. A middle-aged white woman named Dr. Sarah Mitchell who'd been treating police dogs for 15 years. She approached Atlas carefully, speaking to Elena first. Ma'am, I'm a veterinarian. May I examine your dog? Elena nodded, tears still on her face. Please, I need to know if he's okay. Dr. Mitchell spent 10 minutes checking Atlas, ribs, breathing, range of motion. Her face grew grimmer as she worked. He has significant bruising on his right ribcage. No breaks, but he's going to be in pain for days. This kind of impact could have broken ribs or caused internal bleeding. He was lucky. She turned to Sergeant Kim. This injury is consistent with a hard kick from an adult male wearing boots. If you're asking for my professional opinion as an expert witness, this dog was assaulted. The airport police reports were filed that day. By that evening, 8 different videos were online, from Marcus, Keisha, and 6 passengers, plus 3 angles of airport security footage. By morning, the story was everywhere. ICE agent kicks blind woman's guide dog at airport. The video of Atlas yelping and stumbling was replayed on every news station. Guide dog advocacy organizations flooded social media with outrage. Disability rights groups called for criminal charges. The footage of Elena on the floor, hands desperately checking her injured dog while crying, became the image of the story. The Alameda County District Attorney filed criminal charges within a week. Animal cruelty, assault on a service animal, violation of the Americans with Disabilities Act. The federal civil lawsuit came simultaneously. Dr. Elena Rodriguez versus Marcus Webb, Jennifer Santos, and the United States Department of Homeland Security. The criminal trial happened first. The jury watched all 8 videos. They saw Webb kick Atlas, saw the dog stumble and yelp, saw Elena drop to the floor, blind and terrified, trying to assess her dog's injuries by touch. They heard from Dr. Mitchell about Atlas's injuries, from guide dog trainers about the months of specialized training Atlas had undergone, from disability experts about the bond between a blind person and their guide dog, about how that trust is built over years and can be shattered in seconds. Elena testified about her life with Atlas, about learning to trust him completely, about how he kept her safe every single day, about hearing him yelp and not knowing what happened, not being able to see if he was bleeding or dying or just hurt, about the nightmare of being blind in an emergency involving her dog. Atlas is my eyes, she told the jury, her voice breaking. When someone hurts him, they hurt me. When someone breaks the trust between us, they steal my independence. The jury deliberated 4 hours. Guilty on all counts. Webb was sentenced to 18 months in county jail and ordered to pay $15,000 in fines to guide dog organizations. His law enforcement career was over. The civil trial 11 months later was even more devastating for Webb and the government. The jury heard about Elena's PTSD, about how she now flinched every time Atlas made a sudden movement, terrified something had happened to him, about the weeks of physical therapy Atlas needed for his bruised ribs, about Elena's fear of flying, of going through airports, of being in situations where she couldn't see threats coming, about how her independence had been compromised because her trust in the world had been shattered. Expert witnesses testified about the value of guide dogs, the 2 years of training, the $50,000 cost, the irreplaceable bond, about disability rights law, about how service animals are legally protected extensions of their handlers, about how kicking a blind person's guide dog is functionally equivalent to destroying their mobility aid. Marcus and Keisha testified about witnessing the assault, about stepping in to protect Elena, about how federal agents had racially profiled a blind woman and then assaulted her service dog when it tried to protect her. The 8 videos played again. The jury watched Atlas get kicked, watched him stumble, watched Elena on the floor, blind and panicked, hands searching her dog for injuries. Several jurors cried. The defense tried to argue Webb had felt threatened by a dog advancing on him, but guide dog experts destroyed that argument. Atlas was performing his trained function, blocking to protect his handler. He showed no signs of aggression, no bared teeth, no growling, just a dog doing his job. And Webb's response was to kick him hard enough to leave bruising visible days later. The jury verdict was unanimous. Liable on all counts. The damages were extraordinary. $10.2 million to Elena for emotional distress, PTSD treatment, lost work time, and compensation for her shattered sense of security. $2.4 million for Atlas's medical care and the cost of potentially retraining with a new guide dog if the relationship had been permanently damaged. $14 million in punitive damages, calculated specifically to send a message. You don't assault service animals. You don't kick guide dogs. You don't traumatize blind people by hurting the animals they depend on for independence. Total, $26.6 million. Webb was terminated. Santos, who hadn't kicked the dog but had failed to stop Webb, was suspended for a year without pay. New federal protocols were implemented. Service animals were explicitly protected from contact by law enforcement except in cases of actual aggression. Any agent who made physical contact with a service animal would face automatic investigation. Training on disability rights and service animal law became mandatory for all agents working in airports. Guide dogs for the blind used part of the settlement to establish a legal defense fund for handlers whose service animals were assaulted or interfered with by law enforcement or businesses. Elena became an advocate for disability rights and service animal protection, speaking at conferences about her experience, using her voice to protect other blind people and their guides. Atlas recovered physically, though he remained more protective of Elena afterward. The trauma had affected him too. They still fly together, though Elena requires someone she trusts to accompany them through airports now. The 8 videos are still online, used in law enforcement training about service animals and disability rights. They show exactly what happens when an agent lets prejudice override law, when someone kicks a guide dog, when 50 witnesses refuse to look away. Should federal agents face automatic felony charges for assaulting service animals? Comment below. Because what Marcus Webb did to Atlas wasn't just animal cruelty. It was an attack on Elena's independence, her safety, her ability to navigate the world. That golden retriever wasn't just a pet. He was her eyes. And when Webb kicked him, he kicked every blind person who depends on a guide dog to survive. If you believe service animals deserve protection and disabled citizens deserve dignity, subscribe. Tomorrow we cover another case where someone's prejudice met someone's civil rights and lost expensively.